Blue Cliff Record, Case 6. Umon's Every Day is a Good Day. Main subject. Umon addressed the assembly and said, I am not asking you about the days before the 15th of the month, but what about after the 15th? Come and give me a word about those days. And he himself gave the answer for them. Every day is a good day. Secho's verse, setting aside one, you gained 7. No one can rival you, above, below, or in the 4 directions. Quietly wading the rapids, you extinguish the sound of the waters. Watching at leisure, you retain the tracks of flying birds. Grass grows rampant, mist lies thick. Famed for emptiness in zazen, yet flowers rain down on you, for shame. Snapping my fingers, I scold you, Sunyata. Don't be confused, or else 30 blows. I may turn this way. Shinge Roshi, and everyone here. It's so nice to be with everyone. So since Master Umon already gave us the statement, every day is a good day, I was thinking that we're kind of done here. Our work is done. Unless there's anyone here who recently has experienced a day they thought was not a good day? Anyone? Only one. The rest of you may go. So I'll give you some facts about Umon. He was born in 862 or 864, it's questionable, and died in 949, so he was approximately 86 years old. He was a Chinese master of the Tang Dynasty and the Dharma heir of Seppo. And he founded the Yumen school. That was one of the 5 major schools of Chinese Zen. And some of you may be familiar with the fact that he used direct and abrupt and powerful short phrases in his teaching style. You might remember dumplings, or you might remember dried shit stick. That one usually stays with you. He used this sharp approach, to bypass the student's intellect, to force a direct experience. So there's 18 koans featuring Master Umon in the Blue Cliff Record. This is a high frequency, notably because the collection only has 100. And that makes him one of the most prominent figures there. Largely because Secho was a master in that lineage, and he drew heavily on Umon's extensive record. One of his most famous koans involved the monk asking what happens when the leaves fall. And Umon replied, golden wind, a metaphor for sharp, clear-cutting nature of the truth that reveals the essence of all things. Umon had a very large following. He had like 790 disciples, and 79 of them were considered very high standing. And his school was influential for over 300 years. Many of us have heard that famous account that tells of how Umon attained enlightenment, a harsh physical encounter with Master Bokashu, who slammed a door on his leg, breaking it. In that moment of intense pain and shock, his intellectual searching was shattered, leading to a very deep awakening. So, a word to the wise when you enter Dokusan: beware. And really, with any such deep awakening, there's a history there of strong practice that precedes it. And Umon began at a very young age. So I had an experience similar to this, although I didn't break a leg, but it was my Jika-Shi session. So Joraku and Ungo were together for that. It was the evening Dokusan, and Roshi, instead of taking one side of the Zendo, took all of us. So it was a big group. I had a sore knee, so I was one of the last ones to make it in line. And we were such a large group that we extended back into the dining room. So we were the full Dharma hall and then behind it. So I was one of the last ones in the dining room. And I started having a terrible pain in my knee. And then something happened. I experienced the pain. The pain was there, but it wasn't me. It wasn't mine. It was just pain. And that was a real breakthrough for me. I didn't know that could happen. And then I was deciding if I was going to tell Roshi this, because then I thought she might start planning longer Dokusans on purpose. Like, woo, we got a breakthrough. But your body tends to know how long you're used to sitting, and if it goes past that time, you feel it. And I felt it. But I did decide to tell her. I was brave. So let's look at the koan here. What is this 15th day of the month? It's been interpreted as the day before today, or possibly the days before enlightenment. So Umon was not asking about the past. He was asking what was happening at that moment, the nature of the student's consciousness in that moment. And when no one can answer, he gave the answer, which that wasn't done much. He was one of the first ones to actually give the answer. So this leads us to consider the nature of consciousness at any given moment. I think about babies or very young children who in their daily life are more apt to be in positive samadhi. They'll let out some big scream, and then a few minutes later they're laughing, and they don't hold on to it. It's one moment, it passes. Adults around them usually hold on to it. We feel badly for them. Oh, they feel so badly. And we remember it, and it's already gone with them. It's one moment, and it passes. So think about how we normally deal with things like that. We don't always just note the experience, recognize it, and then let it go. When you do that, it's a really big relief. It's really freedom. In Secho's verse, we just heard the setting aside one, you gained 7. When we penetrate into the present moment's activity, we meet with many things. So the gaining 7, we gain many things. We can deal with many numerous affairs in this way. And when we do that, they're wonderful. Each one is wonderful. So this is an unbelievable state. So when he wrote, no one can rival you. So unlike enemies, this kind of rival is more seen as a challenge, challenges that sometimes create camaraderie in the face of conflicts. And this is kind of us right now, what we're doing. So the next line is quietly wading the rapids. You extinguish the sound of the waters. This also brings back a big experience I had at DBZ. I was there for session, and I was up before Choka, and I was walking through the hall, and then suddenly comes the bell waking everyone up. And at Shinrei, before, it would be really loud for me from far away. And in this case, he came right up next to my ear and walked past me, and it was clanging, but the sound didn't enter me. So that was another of those moments. And so with this line, quietly wading the rapids, you extinguish the sound of the waters. So these kind of experiences really stay with you. I remember right where I was standing, and it's something that you never lose. So back to the verse. We have the line, watching at leisure, you retain the tracks of flying birds. So as we know, flying birds leave no tracks. But in positive samadhi, we clearly see the present moment and it becomes rich to us. Just as an experienced musician hears far more in a piece than an ordinary listener. They kind of can catch hold of the traces of the flying notes. The next line, grass grows rampant, mist lies thick. So the activity of consciousness can also become entangled with lots of complications. And that can bring worries and suffering to us. But when we're in positive samadhi, one can penetrate those complications, bringing serenity of mind. By contrast, mist lies thick. That's the absolute aspect of samadhi. All phenomena retire into the background of consciousness. The next line, famed for emptiness in zazen, yet flowers rain down on you for shame. So Sunyata was well known for his practice of emptiness in meditation. And once while he was practicing, the heavenly deities came to appreciate him, admire him, and they sent flowers raining down on him in praise of his practice of emptiness. But if he had been in complete state of emptiness, there would have been no trace of him left to find. So these last two verses are really something difficult to unpack. I spent a long time with them over a number of years, and I'm really just starting to learn more about consciousness. I had to start learning more and read a few books because of a class I was asked to teach at Lemoyne College on comparative religions. Roshi taught the first couple, and then I started teaching it, but I had more of a vague idea. So there's some really good books. This was the one, the first one the professor recommended. Notes on Complexity, if you ever want to read it. It's a good one. And it's a complicated thing, and the students too, you know, it's like this practice, there's really no answers, and you just keep searching. And it's a very interesting and deep subject. So, you know, reading this, of course I can learn, but it's still only words. It's words about it. And what we're here to do is experience it. So, snapping my fingers, I scold you, Sunyata. Here, he's deploring the Sunyata's poor practice of emptiness because he could be seen. So he's criticizing it, and one can find true emptiness in positive samadhi, even in the busiest of circumstances. So in that case, the activity is not even noticed. So the last part, don't be confused. Good luck with that. I don't know if anyone here is confused just listening to these last verses, but I knew I was. And there's a lot of subtlety here, but the more we practice, the more that understanding just comes through our bodies. We can read books and books, but without the real experience being your own, you know it's just not the same thing. So back to that letting go. We all tend to have an inner critic that can keep us going in negative ways. And this letting go is the key to stifling that inner critic voice. We review our past mistakes or painful episodes involving others or our past anxieties. But if we can just recognize it and honor it and then let it go, it's just so liberating, and the suffering is gone. And it's pretty painful to admit that we create our own suffering. But it's even more painful to deny it when you think about it. So we may experience some suffering right here during session. Anyone? I could use a back massage. I could use a knee PT. And if you haven't yet, then give it time. It's true that, many people will mention to me as a membership chairman that when they're sitting, they feel an absence of stimulation. And that's when the egocentric mind can just go into overdrive. Thoughts can race. People say, I can't do it. My thoughts race. I say, that's why we do it. Everybody's thoughts race. But, it can happen. People sit there. They can develop elaborate fantasies or self-criticism or, I don't like this. I can't do this. Ring the bell. It's taking too long. I want to quit. So it's really a glimpse of what ego does for you. And sometimes it goes on 24 hours a day, except when you're sleeping. But by counting or following the breath, you can bring your attention back. You can always do that. Back to the present, and you can calm that chaos. Your mind can eventually slow down. Sitting can become like a sanctuary. So we all know the intensity of session, the number of full days, consecutive days. They lend themselves to us finding that calm and quiet. In my first session, I remember through the sitting and counting how many hours I had been awake. I was just doing math throughout the day. And it was just, wow, I can't believe, people aren't even up yet. And I've been up for 8 hours, and I kept adding it. But the good thing about sessions, it lasts a bunch of days. So after a while, your mind gets tired of considering this thing you have no control over. And that's the perfect time when something can break through. So it can happen, anytime, but the middle of session is usually, by then your mind's kind of like, okay, I give up thinking all these things, get out of here, it hurts, and just settle down. So, when we think about ruminating on everything, it gets us nowhere because there's nowhere else we can really be. We can just settle here. Eventually, we can see things change by themselves. When I first heard this as a young girl, things change. It was like a comfort thing, and it was presented as something bad. Don't worry, it'll change. But at that age, it never occurred to me it applied to something good, something nice, a nice state, a relationship that can change too. And yeah, that wasn't the happiest news for me. It's like, what do you mean the good things can change? So it was a bit disappointing, but it was another eye-opening experience. I think it happened to me when I was about 12. So when we experience things from a different vantage point, not clinging to the good or running away from the bad, we just experience them, observe them. We can cease to be a slave to them. And that's really big. Accepting ends up creating a critical distance. I always think about this distance. We have a toy room at home and a long white table, and it had a roller paper roll thing on the end that you could pull across and fill the table and then draw. And I always think of that now. When I teach too, I think of this. It's like whatever is happening to you in a day, it's really not happening to you. It's happening. It's like this paper, events are rolling out in front of you, situations are rolling out in front of you, but there's a distance. This space is the critical distance. It's just what's happening. It's not to you. And many people get stuck there. Like, why is this happening to me? Why is this person cutting me off? These are all things, they're not personal, they're just what's happening. And the first noble truth, when Buddha said life is suffering, it's this number of things we don't care for, but they're given, it's a given. And so many people think it's an aberration, and it's just what is. So I always just picture these drawings moving along. It's like a movie. Your day is like a movie. Your life is like a movie. So because of our practice too, we can more easily recognize when we're ruminating. And the cure is the practice. Because the inner critic relies on the small self. And the small self that is imperfect and like we must be fixed. This needs to be fixed. I'm not good enough. And this kind of critic has no traction in the present moment. If you're right here, there's no traction. There's no past or future, no comparing. It's a place where the small self expands and becomes a huge field of calm and awareness. And sensations and thoughts can come and go, and everything is fine just as it is. Perfect in its own place and interconnected with every other piece of this whole. Chigan Roshi in a Teisho gave this teaching, and the wording struck me. When he spoke about not holding on to actions that were taken against us, he said, learn to be grateful and thankful for each other's existence, period. So we can come to realize through practice that every being is already perfect, including the temporary collection of energy that we call ourself. We're reminded of this in every choka, morning service, when the dedication, Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, revealing right here, now. And this is us, right here, now. This morning we read Sozan Zenji's Faith in Mind, and the words, one in all in one. If only this is realized, no more worry about being perfect. So with today's koan, perfect has a new meaning. Like, yay. I was brought up like, do everything perfectly. But that was a different kind of perfect. Not that everything as it is perfect. When Mizumi Roshi was asked the point of practice, he answered, to appreciate your life. That means all of it. There's no mastering of it, just appreciation. Just as there are no mastering of what we're doing here. It's not about mastering, it's just doing it, appreciating the moment. So Trungpa Rinpoche taught that if we completely accept and are open to all situations, experiencing everything totally without reservation, without blockages, we won't find ourselves withdrawing or centralizing into ourselves. This withdrawing, I'm always reminded of this with faith in mind. And the line, when you strive to gain quiescence by stopping motion, the quiescence thus gained is ever in motion. That's such a powerful line. It's so easy to just withdraw, but then the withdrawal just keeps going. And as long as you tarry in dualism, how can you realize oneness? So speaking of our voices reading this in unison today, I was really struck by the power of our chanting in morning service. Morning service is so great with session. It's just so powerful, and it's one of my favorite things. And everybody was really deep and strong today. Shinge Roshi spoke about chanting once and said, when you chant, you let the words penetrate so completely that those words become your words, emanating from your own experience. And I read a piece once about chanting that said you should think of it as rain falling, and everyone kind of combines their voice into one. One doesn't stand out more than the other, but just a evenness of rain. And I really found that there's a great advantage to memorizing chants. You know, even though, like for Jukai class, you're assigned, you should memorize this and this and this. And first it can seem like a task and think, well, I could read it. But it makes such a difference when it's memorized. And that's something, of course, we work on gradually. It takes time. And in my experience, I'll always remember this. I was trying to memorize the great Compassionate Dharani as a deadline for Jukai ceremony. And it was the 4th of July. I was sitting on a balcony outside trying to memorize it. And I was doing it one syllable at a time, just adding one syllable. Then I would try the line again, one more syllable. And it just seemed like I was in the first 3 lines, like, this seems impossible. And my husband was listening too. He's like, what? Like, you know, these syllables. And then I had an experience that actually came from Myoko. I was in the Zendo, we were chanting, she was behind me, and I heard her say, mukege, mukege. And I heard it as a mukege, mukege, not mukege, the way I was memorizing things. And then I realized this was musical memory. And then it became easy for me to stop looking at it as this disjointed thing. It became a line that was easy to remember because of the musical memory. And I know this is true working with music therapy there's children who can't say their name. But if you sing, what is your name, they can sing their name back. So this power of the melodic and the smooth flow is really strong. So that helped me a lot. And you're the one. I thank you for that. In our Dharma study on the Platform Sutra, we came upon a comparison of reading a sutra versus hearing one. And the teaching was that hearing is more immediate and direct than reading. Because when you're reading, you can intellectualize the text you're reading. There's time to do that. And when you hear, and chanting does not usually give enough time for that. When you're just chanting, it doesn't give time to analyze each thing you're chanting. When you're looking at the word, it's very easy to do that. So just letting it flow out naturally is really an amazing thing. So the real important thing is, as these feelings come up, as these thoughts come up, to let them go. And it doesn't mean you're ignoring them, you're not stuffing them down, you're not pretending they're not there. Have the feeling, recognize it, name it for what it is, and then let it go. When I teach, I sometimes talk about a thought coming in as like a bird. You're here, the bird's there. A bird flies in. You notice it's a bird flying in. You don't grab the bird and then hold it for the rest of the day. You notice it, you see it, bird, and then you let it go. And that's when people go back to one every time. Okay, here's the next bird. Notice it, go back to one. And I think I first heard this from Nikyu when he talked here one day. That's how he described it. And recently I've been thinking about it as a leaf in a stream. So you're there, we have the creek, you see a leaf going down, and you're watching it. There's a space between you and that leaf, and you're not grabbing it, you're letting it go. And we can do that with our thoughts. So with these thoughts, pain and joy both exist. They don't oppose each other. They just both exist. It's like two sides of a coin. So the more we practice, the more we can actively accept our circumstances, because accept is different than like. Accept is different than understand. Just accept. Edo Roshi spoke about our great vows when we say, I vow to save them all. He said, I vow to accept them all, is the meaning of that. So not understand them all, but accept them all, which is a really big lesson for all of us in every relationship. And it's not a resignation, because from the outside, resignation and acceptance may look like the same thing, but they're not. So we're sitting here on our 15th day of the month. Where is your consciousness right now? The only gate is now. The only doorway is your own body, your own mind. So when we practice together, we move forward, we activate, we energize, we make our Dharma path more beautiful by having people around us who are doing the same thing. And maybe sometime in this session, the deluge of blossoms will rain down on us. The deities will recognize our wonderful intention and strong sitting, and maybe some flowers will fall down on us. I forgot to have some tea, so you can move. when I was first deciding what I might talk about, I was going to talk about this film called Perfect Days. Does anyone remember watching this at the Zen Center on movie night? Perfect Days, it was an article in Tricycle, and it's just such a great example of just samadhi, being with the thing you're doing, period, and how much joy that can bring you, no matter what that thing is. So this movie, it was 2023. It's a Japanese drama, and it's about a man who is a Tokyo toilet cleaner. And I know it began because it was an initiative designed to revamp the public image of their restrooms. So he's doing this every day, and it's admired in Japan. It's not looked down upon like some menial job to clean the toilets. Makes me think of Tokyo. In my husband Walter's business, he would encourage our children to start by doing a real SAMU job, and they cleaned the toilets. All three of them end up cleaning toilets, vacuuming, but the toilets were first. And this is just this man finds joy in the simple, structured life. He cleans his toilets, he listens to music, he reads books, and he takes pictures of trees. And it's a simple life with a total focus. Whatever he's doing, that's what he's doing. And just look at finding beauty in the everyday. So what they write about here is tranquil daily routine, love for cassette tapes like Lou Reed, books and taking photos of trees. And then what's interesting about it is the director doesn't tell you what happened in his life before that. What are the things he's working with that were things that happened when he grew up? He doesn't do it on purpose. He gives tiny glimpses. And he wants it up to the audience to kind of figure out what went on with his life before this time. So, the actor won Best Actor at the Cannes Film Festival, and this film got some really great reviews and an award. But it's all about this quiet, meditative, life-affirming practice of just being with the moment and not judging, well, this task, isn't worthy of me. It's not worthy of my time. I just said that. It reminds me of my grandson on Easter, a couple days before Easter. He's the one who's 10. He said, Grandma, I don't really need to look for eggs because last year I didn't really need what came in them. So he said, it's really not worth my time. We made sure this year they were older things that were appropriate for their age. But I love that line. It's just not worth my time. So I really recommend this film, and there's a wonderful article about it in here. So if anybody wants to know the date, the year, let me know, because it's just such one great example of how happy your life can be with the task that's in front of you. We all have tasks that are in front of us, and instead of judging it, saying I should be doing something else, this is too much, it's just one step at a time, one day at a time, do this one thing that's in front of you. And that's what we're doing in session. We have the schedule. This is what we're doing next, just do it. Not like, I don't know if I want to do that one. The fact we don't have a choice is really a great thing, because you're in this is kind of like a Montessori school. It looks, there's a big preparation of structure, but then within that structure, there's all this freedom. Everything's been done for us here, and we have the freedom to just do this. The meals are done for you. Everything's clear what your job is, no question. A lot of times we get slowed down in life deciding which thing to do next. It seems random. Well, I have these 5 things. I don't know. I want it to make sense which one I do first, and it doesn't always. It's just take the one thing and do it. I remember that from being a new mother. You know, nursing a baby, you never know. They might lay down, you never know if they're going to sleep for 20 minutes or sleep for 2 hours. Then you're deciding, what am I going to get done in that time? It's random. I don't know which thing I'm going to do. But then you would be stuck and do nothing. So it's just like, pick one thing and do it. Pick one thing and do it. And then when they're sleeping too long, go see if they're still alive. I remember that. Be like, what, 2 hours? Are they breathing? That's when I first saw the correct breathing. It was Dokyo. He was in the crib on his back. And I went in, and I saw his abdomen going up and down. And I didn't know that was the way your body was designed to breathe before you end up with a fight and flight response that puts it up into chest breathing, and then your body remembers chest breathing. But that's what I saw. Like, what's wrong? It's just rising and falling. And that's when I first learned about that. So your children can teach you a lot, especially what's worth their time. So I think that's all I want to say. I'm really happy to be here with everyone. It's really wonderful. It's really wonderful the more you start knowing everyone here. I remember the first time I came, you know, it was everyone says it's a little weird when they first come, and then I heard the and I'm like, wow, I would never do that job. Who is this woman? It just looks so strange at first, but gradually it's like this looking into consciousness. It's like this, you don't quite understand it, but you keep coming back, and you get more of an understanding over time. And that's really what life boils down to. No mastering. If you think you understand everything, you don't. I just saw that little on Facebook, someone posted that. If you think you understand everything, you don't. So let us continue and really strive to do what we're here to do. And there's a exhortation Roshi gave, I'll never forget it. It was in my second session, and we're all sitting in really quiet sit, and suddenly she said, if not now, when? And it really struck me. Like, where was everyone's mind at that time? You know, and why am I here? Like, are we really doing this? Are we really doing it? And I thought that was just such a wonderful exhortation. And those exhortations are always a chance to go deeper. I remember our monk Ensu, we were doing Kinhin, and suddenly he was the Jiki-Jitsu of that session, and he suddenly said, silence your feet. And that was a big opening for me, because you think you're learning all these things you're supposed to do, and you think you're doing them right, and there's always something deeper. This practice just keeps going deeper. So there it was deeper, like, are your feet making any noise? You know, we thought, wow, we're walking good. We're about a foot apart. We're not looking around. And then he comes out with that. Silence your feet. So it's a very precious practice that keeps on giving. It never stops going deeper. And we're very fortunate. So let's appreciate it and onward together.